Ever wondered why some startups succeed while others fail? It's a question that keeps many entrepreneurs awake at night. The world of startups is unpredictable, filled with uncertainty and risk. Some ventures take flight almost overnight, while others, despite great ideas and dedicated teams, struggle to find their footing. Here's the thing, there's no surefire recipe for success. However, there is a method that can significantly increase your chances of making it big in the startup world. Enter the Lean Startup methodology, a revolutionary approach that's been shaking up the business world. The Lean Startup isn't just a buzzword. It's a practical, hands-on strategy designed to minimize risk and maximize potential. It's about learning from your customers, iterating your product, and making data-driven decisions. It's about being agile, adaptable, and always ready to learn. So, if you're an entrepreneur looking to navigate the tumultuous seas of startup life, sit tight. Discover how the Lean Startup can be your roadmap to startup success. So, what exactly is the Lean Startup? Let's dive right in. The Lean Startup is a methodology for developing businesses and products. It's a unique approach that emphasizes agility over excessive planning, customer feedback over intuition, and iterative design over traditional, big design upfront development. The Lean Startup method is all about being lean in terms of time, resources, and planning. It's about getting a product or service to the customer as quickly as possible, gathering feedback, and then iterating based on that feedback. At the heart of the Lean Startup approach is an iterative process known as the build, measure, learn feedback loop. It's a continuous cycle of creating, testing, learning, and iterating. First off, build. This doesn't mean constructing a complete, polished product right off the bat. Instead, it's about developing a minimum viable product, or MVP, a version of the product with just enough features to satisfy early customers and provide feedback for future development. Next, measure. This is where you take the MVP to your customers and see how they react. You gather data, track metrics, and learn as much as you can about how your product is received. Then comes learn. With the data you've gathered, you gain insights into what works and what doesn't. You learn from your customers' reactions, their likes and dislikes, their needs and wants. The cycle then repeats, with each iteration informed by the learning from the previous one. Thus, we're back to build, but this time, better informed. Interwoven with this cycle is the concept of validated learning. This is the idea that each iteration should be validated by real-world experience, not just assumptions or theories, but actual customer feedback and measurable behavior. In essence, the Lean Startup is about learning fast and adapting quicker. It's a way to make sure you're not just making things, but making things that people really want. It's about being smart with your resources, minimizing waste, and maximizing potential. It's not just a methodology, it's a mindset. In essence, the Lean Startup is about learning fast and adapting quicker. Let's delve deeper into the build, measure, learn loop. Central to the Lean Startup methodology is this iterative process known as the build, measure, learn loop. It's a cycle that encourages entrepreneurs to build, not the final product, but a minimum viable product, or MVP. Think of an MVP as the most basic version of your product that still delivers its core value. It's not about creating an underwhelming product. Rather, it's about starting small and focusing on the essential features that solve the problem you're targeting. Once the MVP is in place, the cycle moves on to the measure phase. This is where you expose your MVP to the real market. You gather data and observe how it performs. It's crucial to measure the right things here. Vanity metrics that make you feel good but don't really tell you anything about your product's viability won't cut it. Instead, focus on actionable metrics. These are the numbers that give you a clear understanding of what's happening, such as conversion rates, user engagement, or customer retention. Then comes the learn part of the loop. This is where you analyze the data you've collected and determine whether your product is meeting the needs of your customers. Are they finding value in it? Are they using it the way you intended? This stage is all about learning from the feedback, understanding what's working, what's not, and gaining insights into how you can improve. The beauty of the build, measure, learn loop is that it's a continuous process. Once you've learned from the data, you go back to the build phase to make adjustments, enhancements, or even to pivot entirely based on the insights you've gleaned. The build, measure, learn loop is not just a tool, it's a mindset. It encourages entrepreneurs to embrace experimentation, to be prepared for surprises, to be resilient in the face of setbacks, and most importantly, to learn quickly and adapt. Remember, the goal isn't to build a product and hope it works. It's to learn as quickly as possible what works and what doesn't. The build, measure, learn loop ensures that you're building something that customers actually want. But how do you know if you're on the right track? Enter validated learning. Validated learning is a core component of the lean startup methodology. It's the process of testing a hypothesis about your business model, using real-world experiments to see if your assumptions hold water. It's about stepping out of the bubble of theory and stepping into the world of practice, where your ideas meet reality. Think of your startup as a grand experiment. You have a theory, a hypothesis, about how to solve a problem or fill a gap in the market. You build a product or service around that theory, and then you put it out into the world to see what happens. This is where validated learning comes in. It's about taking the data and feedback that comes from your customers, your sales, your marketing efforts, and using it to validate or invalidate your original hypothesis. Are you solving a real problem? Are your customers happy with your solution? Is your business model viable? But here's the catch. Not all data is created equal. This is where we distinguish between actionable metrics and vanity metrics. Vanity metrics may make you feel good, but they don't necessarily tell you if you're on the right track. They're things like the number of downloads of your app or the number of visitors to your website. They're nice to have, but they don't give you a true picture of your business's health. Actionable metrics, on the other hand, are the ones that tell you if your business model is working. They're the metrics that can guide you to make informed decisions about your product, your service, your marketing strategy. They're the metrics that can tell you if you need to pivot or persevere. Validated learning is not just about collecting data, it's about collecting the right data, the kind that can help you make strategic decisions about your business. It's about learning from your successes and your failures, and using that knowledge to continually refine and improve your business model. Validated learning is the fuel that drives the build, measure, learn loop. So, you've built, measured, and learned. What's next? Welcome to the crux of the journey, the decision that could make or break your startup, the choice to pivot or persevere. This decision is a critical part of the lean startup methodology, and making the right decision at the right time can be the difference between success and failure. Imagine this. You've built a product, measured how it performs, and learned from the data. Now you're at a crossroads. Should you keep going down the path you've set, or should you change direction? This is the question that every entrepreneur at some point must face. Perseverance is sticking to your initial strategy, refining your product, and pushing forward. It's about believing in your vision and giving it more time to succeed. It's about fine-tuning, about making subtle changes to improve your product based on the feedback and data you've gathered. It's not about being stubborn, but about being resilient and adaptable within your original idea. On the other hand, pivoting is about making a fundamental change to your strategy. It's about realizing that your current path may not lead you to your desired destination. It's not admitting defeat, but rather acknowledging that there's a better way to reach your goal. It could mean changing your product, your target audience, or even your business model. So, how do you make the decision? There's no magic formula, but it relies heavily on the data you've gathered, your understanding of the market, and your intuition as an entrepreneur. Is your product not gaining traction despite numerous iterations? Perhaps it's time to pivot. Are there signs of potential success, even if it's not as fast as you'd like? Then maybe perseverance is the answer. Remember, it's not about making the perfect decision, but about making an informed one. It's about knowing when to stick to your guns and when to change course. It's about being flexible yet determined, adaptable yet focused. Knowing when to pivot and when to persevere is a skill that every entrepreneur needs to master. This, my friends, is the art of entrepreneurship. So, to recap what we've discussed today, we've deep dived into the lean startup methodology, a systematic approach that emphasizes efficiency, rapid iteration, and learning from customer feedback. This approach pivots on the build, measure, learn loop, a continuous cycle of creating, testing, and refining products based on real-world data. We've also explored the concept of validated learning, an essential aspect of the lean startup methodology. It underscores the importance of learning from each iteration, validating ideas with empirical evidence, and using that knowledge to drive decisions. And let's not forget the critical decision point, to pivot or persevere. This is where entrepreneurs decide whether to change course based on the insights they've gained or continue with their current strategy. The lean startup offers a scientific approach to creating and managing startups, helping entrepreneurs navigate the choppy waters of starting a new venture. Until next time, keep learning, keep iterating, and keep building.